welcome to XPlane 11, and I'm going to be repeating a flight from San Diego to Santa Ynez that I did on Twitch a couple of days ago, which I royally messed up. Well, we got all the way there pretty well until on final I put props full and instead hit the wrong keybind and cut the mixture off, and hilarity and a short landing ensued. So we'll try again. Let's have a look at Foreflight just to start with. So here we are. We're on PilotEdge, as I say. We're going to be leaving San Diego out over the Pacific, Santa Catalina, and across to Santa Ynez. The departure will be the Padres 2 out of San Diego. And this is all fairly familiar because I only did it just the other day. There's not a lot for us to know here except the stop altitude is 15,000. And we're just going as far as Padres and then leaving the departure. And there's really nothing else on here. Climb on heading 275 and then to Winfield. We'll just take a note of that heading. As far as NOTAMs at San Diego, there really isn't a lot that affects us. Some information about departures we're not on and things like that. Weather-wise, it's severe clear all the way up to Santa Ynez. There is a little bit over on the west coast here. 6 miles of mist, overcast at 800 at Vandenberg, but we should be okay. Our alternate is Santa Barbara, but it would seem that unlikely that we're going to need that. So I say we're on PilotEdge. We'll get the aircraft sort of started up, and then we'll get our clearance. So we'll hide Foreflight for now, and let's see. Alright, battery bus is in normal. Let's just go around the panel and make sure everything is good. Lights I don't really care about right now, and the furnishing should be off. No smoking sign. Well, I'm just going to leave that on for now. The mask is in normal, and this really is just a run around the panel. Let's see, external power's off, avionics are off, the ignition's off, anti-ice is off, and the actuators are on the main circuit. Gentie's in the right place, the bus sensors in normal, inverters are off. Let's see, what if other should be off. Government ground stop idle. All the lights off apart from light nav and beacon, always on so that they just come on. All the anti-ice should be off, which it is. Whoops, wrong button. Let's head on down to the environmentals. And pretty much everything should be off. The bleeds are off, which is what we want, and this should be in the off setting for start. Okay, the pitch trim is way out, so let's... I'm not sure if it's faster with the electric trim or not. I don't think that it is. Wow. Yeah, I was testing something with the autopilot the other day, and we were on the ground, so it rolled the trim all the way back, trying to achieve an altitude that it was never going to reach. So there we go. Get that back in the green. Throttles are closed, yeah, and they're in the normal sense. Props go full forward. Condition levers, fuel cut off. And down here, not a lot to look at really, except that the pitch trim off, rudder boost off, and I like to leave the EFIS just alone. We can set our cabin altitude to... We're going up to flight level 260 today. And so the cabin altitude will be about 6,000 feet, which works for me. Other things, the flaps actually were left down by me last time, which is my fault. There's a few things we can get rid of here. Get rid of these that we don't need. So the flaps are going to come up. So I guess real world we would check that there's nobody outside, and we would let them know just to be clear of the flaps when they come up when we power the aircraft. because I want to get that switch at least in the right position. Gear levers down, and the wipers should be off, and they're in the park position. So we can apply some power. Battery on. Okay, cancel the cautions so we can see new things. Check all the annunciators, looks like it's working. And let's start the right engine. Are we clear? Looking clear. Rotation. We've got oil pressure. Looking for 12%. And then we move into low idle. Watching the ITT and the turbine. Okay, ITT's coming back. Turbine's over 50%, so this can come off. Got the gen on. There's the flaps coming up. Okay, let's start the other left engine. They came out of feather, rotation. Actually, we can put this this engine into high. Weird, it sounds like it's running down. And the ITT is pretty high, actually. Interesting. Alright, well over 12%. I'm going to watch that. Strange. Okay, ITT is rising. I have seen this a couple of times before with this aircraft. Yeah, there you go. Weirdness. I mean, if this is a real aircraft, we might be concerned about what on earth was going on there, but in this case, not so much. Yeah, and they're not synced up particularly well. So let's go both full on the gens, and then I will bring the pitch back now. Not the pitch, sorry, the mixture back to somewhere near low idle, and then we'll see if they sync up. Alright, let's throw some things on. Inverters can come on, avionics comes on, the engine anti-ice goes on at this point, just so we don't ingest any birds and things like that. Let's see what else. Ignition stays off. This all stays off. Let's get the bleeds on. There we go. Get our GTN up and running. And pitch trim on, and the rudder boost comes on. Let's check the start checklist. Okay, cell phones are off. No, they're not. Brakes and chocks. I think we took the chocks out. Yep. The door light is extinguished. Actually, I guess the door light is down here somewhere. I didn't see it, but I'm pretty sure I closed the door. Yep. Props are as required. The beacon is on. The avionics master is okay. These supposedly before start, I guess, not after start. This is a new checklist I'm using. Yeah, okay. So there's a before taxi is the next one we need to look at. All right, let's get the ATIS. So ATIS is 134.8. Whoops.
Berg Field, ATIS Information Alpha, 2351 Zulu. Wind
Thought I connected to PilotEdge.
Visibility 10. Few clouds at 1,900. Temperature 24. Dew point 16.
That's strange.
Altimeter 2988. Arriving and departing. Visual, RNAV, and localizer runway 27 approach in use. VFR departures, contact
Why
clearance
can we
delivery.
not hear
Advise on course heading, altitude, and if
the
flight
controllers?
following is requested.
Let's just check
Read back all
check the other
runway assignments
settings.
and hold short instruction.
Yep,
Advise
that
on
is
initial
correct.
contact. You have information Alpha.
134.8.
San
Alright,
Diego
well let's try
International
limbo
Lindbergh
clearance
Field,
instead.
ATIS information Alpha. 2351 Zulu. Wind 280 at 6. Visibility 10.
SoCal approach Walker 169, 8000 with Tango for the...
Limbo clearance, Walker 355, radio check.
Walker 169, SoCal approach, John Wayne altimeters 2986, descend and maintain 5000.
Down to 5000, Walker 169.
Aircraft for the radio check, I missed the call sign, but it's loud and clear. I believe it was Walker 355.
Strange. Okay.
Disconnected.
Let's try again. Yeah, this is right.
Connected to PilotEdge.
Limbo clearance, Walker 355, radio check.
Walker 355, it's loud and clear. There's 164 Echo Romeo, turn right heading 210.
Turn right heading 210 for Echo Romeo.
Try the 80s on this side.
164 Echo Romeo,
134.8.
4.5 miles from SCON, maintain 3000.
Altitude.
Established
And
on the
if flight
localizer,
following
cleared. ILS runway 24
Read back
approach.
all runway assignments and hold
Roger,
short
cleared ILS runway
instructions.
24 approach,
Advise on initial contact. You
maintain
have information
3000
Alpha.
until established on the localizer for Echo Romeo.
San Diego International Lindbergh
This
Field,
is
ATIS
traffic
information
global, this
Alpha.
isn't probably PilotEdge.
2351 Zulu. Wind 280 at
Well,
6.
that is weird.
Walker 169, descend and maintain 4000.
Now I'm a little
Down to
stumped
4,000,
as to
Walker
what to
169.
do.
Walker 169, turn right heading 220.
220, Walker 169.
I meant,
See, I don't think
I
there's
meant left
anything
heading
else that
220.
we're missing.
I figured, Walker 169.
Yeah, the radios are on.
Instructions. Advise on initial contact. You have information Alpha. San Diego International Lindbergh Field, ATIS information Alpha. 2351 Zulu. Wind 280 at 6. Visibility 10. Few clouds at 1009 Temperature 24. Dew point 16. Altimeter 29
Let's see if I can hear them
Arriving
come
and departing
through
runway 27. Visual are now.
my speakers.
As a runway 27 approach
Ha,
use.
that's interesting.
VFR departs, contact
I
clearance
don't
delivery.
hear them
Advise
through
on course
my
heading, altitude, and
headset.
if flight following is requested. Read
And I'm
back all
guessing they
runway
don't hear
assignments
me
and hold
either.
short instructions. Advise on initial contact. You have information Alpha. San Diego International Lindbergh Field, ATIS information Alpha. 2351 Zulu. Wind 280 at 6. Visibility 10. Few clouds at 1009
No, if I pull my headset out, I don't know what it's going to anger.
2.16. Altimeter 2988. Arriving and departing runway 27. Visual, RNAV, and localizer runway 27 approach in use. VFR departures, contact clearance.
That might be what. Okay, I think I figured it out. Alright, hang on. Maybe you guys could hear it and I couldn't.
Read back all runway
Let's,
advise on initial contact. You have information Alpha.
Alright, so they probably heard me on the radio check. That's going to feel pretty unprofessional. Never
San
mind.
Diego International Lindbergh Field, ATIS information Alpha. 2351 Zulu. Wind 280 at 6. Visibility 10. Few clouds at 1009 Temperature 24. Dew point 16. Altimeter 2988. Arriving and departing runway 27. Visual, RNAV, and localizer runway 27 approach in use. VFR departures, contact clearance delivery. Advise on course heading, altitude, and if flight following is requested. Read back all runway assignments and hold instructions. Advise on initial contact. You have information Alpha.
Alright, information Alpha. Let's try again. I bet they probably did hear me. Limbo clearance, good evening. Walker 355, radio check.
Walker 355, Limbo clearance, read you loud and clear.
We got you loud and clear now as well. We're on the ground at San Diego looking for clearance to Santa Ynez.
Walker 355, clearance on request. Please stand by.
John Wayne Tower, good evening, Walker 169, ILS 20, right.
So for those of you that don't know, when the controller tells you to stand by, you don't need to say stand by back, just
Cleveland Land 20,
just
right,
be
Walker
quiet.
169, good evening.
Howdy.
Hopefully we get us filed, makes things simpler. And yeah, the taxi is going to be pretty simple, just over there to 27 and away we go. Now on a network like PilotEdge or VATSIM, it's fine having the traffic global stuff on. But you can't be telling the controllers that you're just waiting for something in your AI traffic. If they say go, you're just going to have to go. I think the traffic globe ones are pretty good. They just sort of disappear when you get near them, which is awesome. In the meantime, what else can we do? 29088.
Palmer Tower, Cherokee 164 Romeo, 2600 on the localizer for ILS 24, checking in.
Cherokee 164, Echo Romeo, Palomar Tower, runway 24, clear to land.
24 clear for landing, for Echo Romeo.
8 and pretty much sea level.
Arch clearance, good evening, TBM 59390 Victor, IFR to John Wayne.
Actually need to transfer my weather, so I'll do that as well. It should be slightly more than sea level, I think, San Diego.
TBM 5939 Victor, March
17 feet, so yeah, okay, close enough.
Walker 355, standby, and center's giving me a reroute for you, so just stand by one.
So again, keep quiet. So there we go, we picked up a little bit of cloud. In the meantime, the next frequency will be 123.9. Let's give them their coffee. Now we wait. Yeah, other than skimming around the cockpit, we assume we're going to go to Santa Catalina. So let's put that in. That will be 111.4. There we go. Not picking that up yet. Which, no surprise. I guess real world they might, you know, they could get the clearance digitally. They might also do it on the battery, on ground power, but I find it annoying because the GTN 750 or the 725 as we've got here loses power and it loses its memory, and I think that's probably a limitation of the sim. I guess you could get your clearance and just not program this up yet, start the aircraft and then bang it in, but you can see how a real world operator would really enjoy watching their money go bye-bye. While they sat here for a clearance.
John Wayne Tower, Walker 169 is clear on hotel for the ACI Jet Center.
Walker 169 cross, runway 20 left at hotel, then a right turn on Alpha, taxi to ACI, and then remain this frequency. Have a nice night.
Cross 20 left at hotel, right turn on Alpha to the ACI ramp, and we'll stay with you, Walker 169.
TBM 5939 Victor cleared to John Wayne
Another,
Airport.
company
Fly runway heading.
traffic or Walker?
Paradise in the Ontario Papa 10
Not sure what we've got a German PA-28 here for.
Frequency
Got a lot of Southwest down there. Alaskan. What else have we got?
TBM 5939 Victor, cleared to John Wayne Airport by runway heading back to Paradise. BOR then is filed. We'll climb 5,000. Departure frequency is 135.4 and squawk 3326.
TBM 39 Victor, read back is correct. Number 4 Echo Romeo, taxi to parking via Alpha. Have a nice day.
Thank you, too. I will actually just cut it here for Echo Romeo.
Number 4 Echo Romeo, have a nice night. Walker 355, have your clearance. It is a full route clearance. Pen and paper handy, advise ready to copy.
We're ready to copy Walker 355.
Walker 355, I'm sorry, stand by 1 second.
Dun 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 dun. Just let me go on the original route.
Walker 355, clear to the Santa Ynez Airport. Seaward to departure to Seaward, that's Charlie Whiskey Alpha Romeo Delta. Direct AVOLs, that's Alpha Victor Oscar Lima Sierra. Victor 208 Ventura, that's Victor Tango Uniform VOR. Direct San Marcos VOR, Romeo Zulu Sierra. Direct Santa Ynez Airport. Climb via SID, accept maintain 8,000. Departure frequency 119.6, squawk 160 tree.
Hey, clear to the Santa Ynez Airport, Seaward 2 departure, Seaward, AVOLs, then Victor 2082 Ventura, Romeo Mike Zulu, and then direct. Climb via the SID, except maintain 8,000, 19.6 is departure, and squawk 1603, Walker 355.
Walker 355, all was correct, except after Ventura, it's a San Marcos, which is Romeo Zulu Sierra.
San Marcos Romeo Zulu Sierra, Walker 355, thanks.
Walker 355, read back correct, thank you.
Alright.
London Battalion number 188, Delta localize runway 27.
Alright, so some work to do. Let's get that squawking first, because I always forget that. 1603.
Clear the runway 278 Delta.
Let's see. Let's do Foreflight first. And I wish these transferred like they do in the real aircraft, if you've got that functionality. So, departure, Seaward 2. No transition. I guess that'll take us to Seaward. Let's just make sure. AVOLs to... I think we just type the airway in here. Victor 208 to Ventura, San Marcos, and it's not KIZU, is it? Oops. It is. I guess I put it in my stream. Oh, I put the wrong thing in my stream. KIZA. Let's see if I can change that. Okay, KIZA. Is that it? Yeah. Alright, there we go. Still shows wind filled, and I guess... Wow, look at that. Weird bend. Okay. Weird. Well, that looks doable. And then we're going to take the GPS approach in, so... Let's look at what that seaward procedure is, just quick. It's probably going to be nothing interesting. Top altitude by ATC. Takeoff 275 to 520, then wind filled, so that's the same. Radar required, RNAV required, turboprop. For a tech route, climb via SID except maintain 8,000. That's interesting. Is he going to keep us down at 8,000? Pretty sure I fly off flight level 260. We'll see. You would think they ought to let you know that if I was expecting to cruise at 260 and they're going to keep me down in the tech system. But alright, let's get the route in here. So, departure, seaward to no transition. Why can't I choose no transition? There we go. Oh, it's going to make me. Yuck. Okay, well, Seal Beach. Now I have to go back to that plate. Winfield, Gwyn, Padres, Seaward. Alright, and these two can go. You can go. You can go.
CBN 12 Sierra Alpha, Santa Maria Ground, clear to Riverside Airport.
Avols.
Fly heading 100.
S. And the way you do this here is you do load airway, Victor 208 to Ventura.
Maintain 5,000, expect 9,010 minutes after departure. Departure frequency 120.55. Squawk 5427.
Okay. And then...
CBN 12 Sierra is cleared to Riverside via heading 100,
Marcus,
radar vector
and
send
then
Marcus.
to our destination.
5,000, expect 9,010 minutes. Departure on 120.55, squawk 5427.
CBN 12 Sierra Alpha,
does that look sensible?
March ground TBM 593 Victor, the cargo ramp, for departure, we have 8.
Bizarre turn there.
TBM 593 Victor, March ground, runway 32, taxi via Golf Alpha.
Golf Alpha short of 32 for 390 Victor.
Maybe they've got something on that we don't know about.
Park via Charlie, remain this frequency, that is an IA pass.
Talk about Charlie.
Change to ground. And tower is 118.3. Let's get that ready. Scroll, 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 scroll. There we go. Alright, let's taxi. Taxi lights on. Let's check the checklist.
TBM 12 Sierra Alpha, ready to taxi. Parked on the the east ramp.
TBM 12 Sierra Alpha, Santa Maria Ground, runway 30,
and
taxi via
275
Alpha.
was that initial heading.
30 Alpha, launch certified.
Okay. External power is out. Belts and harnesses, not applicable. Gem volts, I don't care. Inverters, clearly on because the displays are on. Avionics master is on. Standby gyro should be on and uncaged. Yep, that's all fine. Let's check this this heading, which likes to drift around in this. Almost exactly south, just slightly off. So that's correct. It means the slave is good. Cabin sign is on. Environmental controls we have set. Anti-ice de-ice system. Well, let's think the pitot heat can come on. Gyro flags we are good. Before taxi checklist is complete. Taxi departure runway is bugged and verified. The transponder is on. Brakes and steering we'll check as we go. The fuel panel looks correct. A little bit of a difference actually. Don't think that's how I loaded it, but okay. Maybe that was that weirdness with the engine start that we saw. Flight instruments are checked. Altitude alert has been set to 8,000. The trim is good and everything else is neutral. Flaps and fuel caps are up and closed. Flight controls, it's a sim, they always work. Avionics have been set. Engine instruments, everything is looking sensible now. Bleed air is checked and should be on low, which it is. Pressurization we did set. The feathering and stuff like that I'm not going to test. And auto feather on. And briefing on the V speeds. Now the V speeds, they're all very similar. They're always about 100 knots to rotate, and I'm not going to fiddle around with them in this. Let's get heading mode armed, and I like to climb in climb mode. We are right on the edge of the movement area, so we'll call for taxi. Let's just check what the FBO is called where we are.
TBM 120 Alpha is short 30.
I think it's just signature.
TBM 120 Alpha,
yeah, signature.
30, clear for takeoff.
30, clear takeoff 120.
Limbo ground, Walker 355. We're at signature with Alpha, taxi to 27.
Walker 355, Limbo ground, runway 27, taxi via Juliet Charlie.
27 Juliet Charlie, Walker 355. Alright. Away we go. So I'm using a bit of beta here, so that we don't speed away. Okay, park and brake on. Back out of beta. Before takeoff, auto ignition should be armed. Engine anti-ice is, we're going to leave it on. Fuel vent store 1, pitot heats are on. Store 1 is on. And let's see, the fuel vents also on. Bleed air valves are open, the transponders on out, annunciators, let's see what we've got. Left ignition, engine anti-ice in the prop pitch, that's fine, none on the main panel. Lights, we will go landing lights on, strobes can come on. And let's have the tail flood and the recognition on as well. Departure runway, we know it's 27, and that looks sensible down here. Before takeoff checklist is complete, so over to the tower, 118.3, let's put that departure frequency of 19.6. Ready to go, and I do need to bind the button to flip-flop that quickly. All right. Limburg Tower, good evening. Walker 355, short of 27, ready to go.
Walker 355, Limburg Tower, runway 27, cleared for takeoff.
Runway 27, clear for takeoff, Walker 355. Alright. I can brake, it has come off. Clear on the approach. Super fun approach. My real world flight instructor
entered runway 27.
Always likes to tell me off for not staying on the yellow line, even though we only fly in Cessnas. Okay, let's just check. We're heading 27, we're on runway 27. Got a takeoff clearance, let's go. So get the props up onto the governor. There they go, auto feathers on. To takeoff, which is really limited by ITT most of the time. My mesh here is a little bit bumpy, so we might get launched into the air. Coming up on 100 knots, and rotate. Positive rate, there's no useful runway remaining. Gears coming up. We're crossing 500 feet, we should get that to turn to Winfield. No flaps to put up. And let's accelerate to 170, which is climb speed. Right, autopilot coming on because it's a lot to handle otherwise. And now we've got that, so we do our turn to Winfield. Yep.
Walker 355, contact departure. Have a nice night.
Over to departure, Walker 355, see ya.
134.65.
Yay, new controller. Always fun. SoCal departure, good evening, Walker 355, 1900 for 8.
364, man, Mike Kelly, center match. Another aircraft calling, it was stepped on, who was that?
It's Walker 355, 2200 for 8.
Walker 355, SoCal departure, radar contact.
Okay. Coming up on Winfield, the next turn will be to Gwyn. We are in nav, it's following the FMS. Climb mode without armed at 8,000 feet. Engine T's and P's, looking good.
Bravo, LA Center, bullhead altimeter 275.
After takeoff, the gear is up, landing lights are off, your damper is on as part of the autopilot, we can see that here. Pressurization, cabin is pressurizing, and we know that it's set.
I think I stepped on somebody there.
Bleed air is normal.
I'd like to request the ILS runway 20 right.
There we go.
John Wayne from
Climb, power and props, we can only come back to 1600. Make sure I use the right one.
Yeah, absolutely, clear direct Sager.
Alright, direct Sager, 39er Victor.
A little bit quieter for everybody. Engine instruments, still looking good. And that's the climb checklist complete.
39 Victor, did you want the course reversal or you want the straight in?
Sometimes X-Plane's clouds are not all that terrible.
Sager at about 4,000, cleared
They have
straight
their
in ILS
moments.
20 right approach.
Alright, direct Sager, we'll cross it out of 4,000, cleared to ILS 20
So
right.
Foreflight's tracking us along as well, just nicely, which is cool. And unfortunately today, I think we've got a bit of a headwind. There is a way, I think. Yeah, there we go. There's the wind. Let's keep that wind up. Okay, coming up on 7 for 8,000.
Sierra Foxtrot, John Wayne altimeter 287, proceed to and report overhead the Huntington Pier. We'll report over Huntington Pier for 6 Sierra Foxtrot.
Alright, let's get that out of the way.
For 7 Alpha Tango, plan a circle for runway 12.
So Oceanside will be down behind us over here. Can't really see with these clouds. I set this so that it would be in the evening, just sort of sunset again as it was before, which did look quite pretty last time before I crashed into the ground. So there we go, 11 Alpha, 8,000.
185 Juliet Bravo. After the Lindsay intersection, I'm going to have to climb you to 12. Did you want to go up
Checking
there
those
now, or did
engine
you want to wait a
temps,
bit?
all looking good.
Yeah, that's fine.
And 8,000, I'm not worried about this cloud, so the
39 Victor, contact SoCal approach 128.1.
anti-ice can come off.
2813, 9er Victor.
Sorry, Juan, I know if you're still watching, I completely missed your messages. It's not P3D, no, it's actually XPlane. If you're still watching, then yeah, I'll be happy to answer any other questions.
Good evening,
let's just come back on that torque now that the anti-ice is off. The engines are going to spool up a little bit extra. Yeah, I'm so new to streaming, I've not got used to actually seeing the chat appear yet. There's got to be a better way of bringing my attention to that, but I am yet to find it.
Foxtrot, since I didn't mention you.
Ah, you're still here. Great. Glad to have you on board.
Resume on net for 60 Foxtrot.
Yeah, I've not flown P3D for a while now. I just got to like XPlane just for its stability. For me, it seemed more stable in VR. I quite like the aircraft. I have FS 2020. It's just
confirm that our heading is correct for
it's just not good enough.
60 Foxtrot, yeah, you're pretty close.
For me, yeah. There's still too many problems and not enough decent payload aircraft.
Thanks, 60 Foxtrot.
Working out. What are you working out? What are you doing? I did my workout earlier. And then VATSIM, yeah, good job. Just flying or controlling, Juan? I control on VATSIM when I have time, which isn't very often anymore. I control at Atlanta, usually Atlanta approach, sometimes Atlanta center, if it's not being too busy. Pretty good fun. Yeah, so it's climbed by a SID, except expect 8,000, so... We're here, it looks like...
Victor Connect, John Wayne Tower, 126.
It looks like we might stay down here.
26839 Victor.
Which, actually, I think with the wind is... I think it might work in our favour, actually. I think in Foreflight, when I was looking at the calculation, that it would save us some time being down lower, but I think it still used more fuel overall. So the actual time for me isn't going to be particularly different. So I'm not too worried. That island we see up ahead is Santa Catalina. And we're going to do this weird bend around to the right in just a moment. And whether the idea is to keep us out of this this airspace to the west, which is a warning area, according to Foreflight, activated by NOTAM. Perhaps that is what it is. Bike. Yeah, what are you using as a bike, Juan? My wife is constantly trying to persuade me to buy a Peloton, but I'm not convinced yet. And where did you do your circuit? Few touch and goes is always the way to start. You'd be surprised at how many people jump on a major airfield and try and do everything when the controllers are busy and it's their first ever flight. It certainly makes things exciting for the controller. Alright, we're in and out of clouds, but the temperature's still 15 degrees, so
Julie, Roger, climb and maintain 12,000.
Nothing to worry about. So there's a transition. The lights we can... Well, I'm just going to leave them on. Windshield heat, we're not going to require that. Crew masks and oxygen's not required. Altimeters will stay because we're not going through a transition in the US. And the cruise checklists, the auto feather can come off. I guess I could ask him. Acknowledge the caution. Cruise power. Well, I'm not paying for the fuel, so the cruise power is full power. Fuel gauges. Still looking good. Still a bit less. I don't know how far this... imbalance has to get in the King Air before you would worry about it, but you would use the crossfeed and the pumps to move some fuel around. Not worried about it. After that, it's just going to be the descent into Santa Ynez. So let's show you a little bit of that.
SoCal approach 60 Foxtrot, just passing over the pier now.
I want to fly.
60 Foxtrot, thanks. Connect
One that I did last time. I think I've still got it in here. Yeah, there we go. The GPS Alpha. There's a little note about minimums having changed. Minimum altitude 1320. which above the ground is 646. So we'll use that for our minimums. Seatbelt Pocket, hello man, how's it going? Jump ship over onto YouTube. I don't know why I just don't like Twitch, and all my other content is in YouTube, so I'm just going to try that. Well, while we've got a minute, let's have a little think about this approach. So the GPS Alpha into Santinez approach course is 264, so kind of to the west. Note about altimeter settings, not really going to apply in the sim. The mist is ahead to 5000 to Uru, and then on 309 course to Orcut. Seems pretty straightforward. It's RNAV, so we'll just follow that. We've got an AWAS and a Unicom, so we'll be going onto the Unicom. We'll have to cancel in the air on the ground. We should be covered by Santa Barbara approach. High ground to the northeast, we'll keep an eye on that, and we know that we're going to cross over the San Marcos VOR is where we'll start, which is on top of that ridge line.
Walker 355, connects to Cal approach 128.1.
128.1, Walker 355, good night. Let's get that done first and we'll carry on with this. Have a listen. Yeah, I'm doing really good, man. Doing really good. Let's check in and I'll tell you a bit more. SoCal approach, good evening, Walker 355, 8000.
Walker 355, SoCal approach, John Wayne altimeter 2987.
So you don't need to acknowledge that, just tune it in. Both sides. Yeah, about 2 weeks ago my family all got something, and it wasn't like a normal cold, but it wasn't as bad as I thought COVID was meant to be. One of us had a fever, the other one didn't. Different symptoms between us. But it was just weird and lingering. I've still got a bit of a lingering cough, so I thought it was COVID. So I went and got the antibody to test today, which was just a blood draw, and we'll see. We'll see. I'd be interested to know, because if I did have it, then now I'm good to go. I don't need to worry about it. A few people at work have been in that boat. They had some mild symptoms, found out they had COVID. It was pretty cheap to get the test, so I thought I would. Home bike. Sierra Victor Juliet Charlie. Yeah, I'll have to excuse my I'm gonna have to look where that is. I guess you can tell me, but I can also Google. Okay, Venezuela. Wow, cool. I've never actually flown on VATSIM in South America, which I'm kind of ashamed to say. I've done a bit of Central America and as in the Caribbean and places the usual places that everybody flies to. But I really must try that. Yeah, I went for a run earlier and a bit of walking. I got a new Apple Watch, which I had an old one and didn't like it, but I quite like this. I got the SE, and it's really good actually. I'm really pleased with it. Huh? Do you think you had it then, Seatbelt Pocket? Was that, or was it just something else that was horrible? Yeah, I don't think it's anything super serious. The rest of my family's recovered, and honestly, I feel fine. So let's get I like a little bit of everything. Let's just get a bit on as it's getting a bit dingy. Maybe a bit more of this and these. There we go. That looks nice. So where are we now? Avols. Sorry, I left you looking at Foreflight. They're coming up on Santa Catalina. Can't really see it, although it looks a lot higher than I would have thought it would at 8,000. You got tested 6 weeks later. Yeah, they gave me a lot of warnings today that they said it needs to be about 10 days after your symptoms were gone, so you definitely have the antibodies, and even then it can come back as a positive, and it would have been from another coronavirus you've had at some other point in your life. So, I mean, they were making sure that they didn't get themselves into trouble, but yeah, it's just amazing how varied the symptoms are with different people, you know. Okay, I'll knock this off for now. It's coming up on Avols, Santa Catalina, and then over to Weasel, and then yeah, interesting that means we'll get taken to Ventura and then sort of along the coastline, past Santa Barbara and almost straight in, which is going to make things, I guess, a little bit more straightforward than the last time I did this when I royally screwed it up. Airspace entry. I wish there was a way that this knew that you were on an IFR flight plan. It didn't need to keep telling you about airspace. I mean, this literally is running effectively Garmin's trainer software, so it does work the same way that it does in the real aircraft.
Walker 355, connect SoCal approach 127.4.
127.4, Walker 355, good night. And I fly an aircraft that's got a GTN 650, which is just a smaller version of this, but it still does the same thing. SoCal approach, good evening, Walker 355, 8000.
Walker 355, SoCal approach to Catalina, altimeter 2992.
Bit of a difference. Let's have a look at the weather at Santa Ynez. 230 at 5, 7 miles, clear. Okay, 29089. Well, let's go back to just finish briefing that plate just for a second. So we're going to be on runway 26, and it's going to be circling, but with different minimums than are shown here, because of that no time. I don't know why. Does it say why? No, I mean, it's probably a crane or something is in the way. So let's set the decision height to 600 and, well, it should 646, so we'll put 650. There we go. But the altitude is 1320 is what we'll actually be looking for on the altimeter. But this is a handy reference. You would use this really for a precision approach, but we'll use it anyway. The other nice thing is we want to be overhead the San Marcos VOR at or above 6,000, so I'm going to assume that this is what we're going to get. Well, I'm going to request it anyway, so let's go into the flight plan and load procedure approach, the GPS Alpha LNAV, and let's see, let's choose vectors and see what we get. Okay, so we want to take this out, and let's see, Ventura, San Marcos, runway 26, so this is correct, and then the hold is correct. And you see this is at or above 6,000, so I'm going to make it at 6,000, and by doing that we now have this VNAV profile, and what it's saying is we've got 18 minutes to the top of descent, and if we wanted to make that profile now we would have to descend at 100 feet per minute. So this is super handy, especially obviously when you're higher than 8,000. The calculation is pretty simple, and I mean we could dive bomb 8 to 6, but still let's put that San Marcos VOR in, which is you have to find it, and we can find it in here. And I like the way it draws the plate over here as well, which is super useful. go, 114.9. And we should have San Marcos. RZS. 18 minutes to go. Foreflight's telling me we're 22 minutes out. So that's perfect. Not a lot to do now in the cruise, to be honest. I do find that I use FS Global Weather, and the METARs along the way can be all pretty clear, and yet you still get this sort of overcast layer. And there it goes, it just reloaded. I mean, if you're looking at like places like Santa Monica, they've got broken at 1,000 feet. LA has got few at 1,000 feet, and Torrance, sky clear. Let's see what else we got. Camarillo, sky clear. So I don't know where it's getting this interpolation from to make this decision. It's kind of weird.
120 Alpha SoCal approach, Burbank, altimeter 2985. 85.
And now I find myself wishing that I bought a drink to my office. Preferably a beer. I'm going to come back on the power just a little bit because we are real close to the barber pole. And I don't like the noise it makes, which I guess is intentional. Yeah, 20 minutes left to go. Yeah, I don't know if it feels like this is taking longer because we're at 8,000 or not. That's quite pretty. So LAX is going to be over here somewhere. It's usually a bit of water. Ah, there it is. I assume that's what it is. Yep. Well, that's quite cool.
Walker 355, connect Point Magoo, approach 124.7.
Point Magoo on 124.7, Walker 355, good night. Point Magoo.
SoCal departure, Comanche 8324 Papa with you climbing through 2000.
8324 Papa, SoCal approach, cancel altitude restriction, resume on navigation.
24 Papa, roger, cancel, resume on navigation.
Point Magoo approach, good evening, Walker 355, level 8000.
Walker 355, Point Magoo approach, LA altimeter 2986.
Alright, back down again. Does make a bit of a difference, you know. 2986. Yeah, also as far as FS 2020 goes, I can't stand that view system. I've gone through all of the settings and the keybinds and everything else. I understand how it works, but man, it really sucks. It's not for me, or it's going to take a lot more getting used to. I don't know. wow, we just got a weird bump then, which I am guessing was XPlane loading in weirdly different winds. Unfortunately, I wasn't looking at the little wind thingy here. Strange. And yeah, PilotEdge is good. I mean, obviously you pay for it, and I wish I flew more to justify the cost of it more, which is I sort of do it for a month and then don't do it for another 6 months. And the sorts of reroutes that you get and being forced through the tech route like we were this evening, that I can't comment on how realistic that is for SoCal, but it certainly feels pretty realistic, and I like that. But you know, VATSIM's free. If you've got a bunch of people on, you're going to get a lot more different voices. Generally, my experience of VATSIM controllers has been very good. Being a controller myself, you know, I see what it takes to learn. It takes quite a long time to learn how to do it before they'll let you on anything other than ground. So it's good. It's just a bit different. I think there's a bit more traffic on VATSIM sometimes as well. Obviously, especially in the events, which these days I try to avoid because they just bedlam. And when the airspace is busier than it would be in real life, with fewer controllers than they have in real life, I don't know. It just it doesn't feel realistic at all at that point for me, and so I just check out. So you still see still only 160 feet per minute to be able to make San Marcos VOR crossing at 6,000. Now I'm expecting at some point we will get handed to Santa Barbara approach. We're headed towards the Point Mugu Naval Air Station at the moment, which is where we got Point Mugu approach, which is here. That's Point Mugu, I think. Yep, Point Mugu. Lots of good information in here as well. You can get all the charts, the runways. It's a very cool system. I like these more than these with a couple of G5s. So what we've got is 2 G5s for the HSI and the primary display, and then a GTN 650, which is awesome. I mean, obviously we'd like a 750, but that's not what the score put in. And this one's a GTN 725, not a 750, because you would have comm stuff here and nav stuff here if it were a 750, but it's not. It's a 725. So there we go. That looks quite pretty. So there's Point Mugu. Down there, and then to the west of that I think you've got Oxnard, and I'm cheating because I'm looking at Foreflight, and then Camarillo off behind somewhere over here. So Camarillo, Point Mugu and Oxnard. We're going to make a left turn over Ventura, which is just on these hills here somewhere. I'm flying with the GPB scenery for Santa Ynez, and the GPB scenery, if you've never heard of it, there's a guy, he actually doesn't live that far from me in Ohio, and he's put together an increasingly large number of airports, and you pay him a fee through PayPal. He doesn't really advertise much, which seems weird to me, but I guess he's just humble. And he then gives you access to all the airports that he's got made up to that point, and you get anything he makes in the future for free. So the price has been creeping up, but for the amount that you actually get for the quality of the scenery he produces, it's really something special. And you know, he's just a nice guy, and I really want to give my money to nice developers, be that scenery or aircraft. And you compare the no customer support from Flight Factor to the TBM support for the Hot Start, and you know, this guy, I messaged him something about the grass I didn't like at one of the airports, and the same day he sends me back an altered version which corrects to my preference the problem. Super cool. So there's Point Mugu. I don't know what Just Flight put on the ground down there. Yeah, I don't want to zoom in too much more.
Can I switch off and get the weather, please?
Yeah, just let me know when you're back.
24 Papa, roger.
Okay, so there's the turn at Ventura. See what else we see over this way. Looking over towards Camarillo. Yeah, not a lot. Here's some zombie people for extra effect. Yeah, let's look back this way. Pretty. Okay. So we go out over the top of Oxnard and then just skim the coast
Juliet Bravo, connect Las
until we get to Santa Barbara.
3.905.
So I think the San Marcos VOR is up on here somewhere.
That's okay, I'll Comanche 8324 pivot. Papa back with you.
24 Papa, roger.
Las Vegas approach, good evening, Warrior 185 Juliet Bravo, level 12,000.
25 Juliet Bravo, Las Vegas approach, Las Vegas altimeter is 2984.
2984, appreciate it, 5 Juliet Bravo.
You have to get used to this hearing the guy control all the frequencies, which is not realistic. I guess you get more chatter and you just have to kind of ignore it. So it's fine. But yeah, sometimes you get this choppiness in XPlane where you get a weird artifact over here. I've not quite worked out what's going on there. I tried to keep my XPlane install as stock as I can possibly get, so I'm not using different sky colours or I'm not using Lua scripts all over the place. I'm just trying to generally leave it alone. And therefore the performance stays pretty good for me. I'm using orthos from Forkboy and a few other bits of scenery. Other than that, it's pretty stock. And I tried this in VR. I've got an HP Reverb headset and flew the King Air around Santa Barbara the other night, and it was pretty spectacular, especially since Vulcan. My frames are very, very good since Vulcan. Interested to see that these people that are buying the new 3080 cards are not seeing a massive boost in Flight Simulator, either XPlane or FS 2020, which I guess is not particularly surprising, given the way these sims are still pretty CPU bound. But time will tell. Okay, so we're expecting a handoff to Santa Barbara, or if you're American, Santa Barbara approach in a minute. How's the fuel doing? Yeah, we've still got that imbalance, which is odd. .340 feet per minute, so still no problem. Let's talk about descent checklists. One thing I do want to just take a look at is the cabin alt. So to be honest, we didn't need to pressurize at all. So at 8,000 it'll be holding the cabin, probably lower than that. So let's just wind this down so that it's I mean, it can completely depressurize at this point for all we care. Yeah, let's see. Cabin alt was at 6,000 and the differential was almost nothing. So this cabin altitude is going to climb as it depressurizes, but I mean it's not going to go any higher than 8,000, and it's not nighttime, so we're not particularly worried about the weather yet. How do you use charts in VR? So there's a couple of ways, Juan. You can there's a couple of plugins for XPlane, which I won't show you now because I tend to remove plugins when I'm not using them. Which you can show a browser window, or you can show any application window inside of VR, and it ends up like a floating window that you can move around. So you can see the chart that way, and you can also get the iPad screen with Foreflight inside of the sim as well, although it's a bit more difficult to look at what you're touching. so I tend to have to
Walker
lift the headset.
355, contact Santa Barbara approach 120.55.
120.55, Walker 355, good night. Yeah, there's also like a text thing where you can make notes and have those sort of floating in space too, or on a kneeboard. It's not ideal for anything more than some VFR work. It's not the best. Of course, the GTN here that does work in VR. It works just great. 12055. .555, is that right? There we go. Santa Barbara approach, good evening. Walker 355, we've got the AWOS at Santa Ynez. We're looking for the GPS Alpha, level 8000.
Walker 355, Santa Barbara approach, Santa Ynez, altimeter 208.9, you can expect it.
So again, no need to reply to any of that. We've been told to expect it, and we've already kind of set up our GPS to cope with it. So the San Marcos VOR is on top of the ridge right in front of us here, and the
Walker
airport.
355, cross San Marcos at or above 5,500, clear GPS Alpha approach.
Cross San Marcos at or above 5,500, we clear for the GPS Alpha approach. Walker 355.
Alpha, descend and maintain 4,000.
Descend and maintain 4,000.
Okay, so I'm just gonna let this altitude just come creeping down. I'd rather be at 6,000 per the chart. So let's go VS and come off on the power a little bit.
Vertical track.
There we go. And we'll just let it pitch down. We are 10 miles from San Marcos, and I'd rather cross it at 6,000. IFR would be kind of difficult. Yeah, it is. Most of the difficulty, you know, is clicking buttons quickly and twisting like heading knobs in the moment. It's really tricky in VR. You really just want to have your hands on the joystick, with keybinds on the joystick for gear and stuff like that, and then flying around. Anything more, I mean, it is worth saying that actually sitting in a 737 cockpit or this King Air, and it looking, you know, the scale is correct. It really looks that big. It is pretty incredible the first couple of times that you see it. VR in Microsoft Flight Sim would be amazing if done right. Yeah, I signed up for the. I was in the alpha test, and I hopefully get into the alpha test for VR as well. It would be very cool. I just can't wait for some PMDG or A2A or somebody to bring out the aircraft we need for Flight Sim 2020, because it's just lacking. Descent checklist, windshield heat, pressurization we've done, descent checklist, approach altimeters we've got, the auto feather needs to come back on, recognition lights are on, belts, we never switch the seatbelt signs off, so that's fine. Approach briefing we've done, the approach check is complete, and then we've got a before landing checklist. Alright, so there's our one to go with 3 miles, so we're going to keep coming down now. Let's keep this descent going, and after we cross San Marcos we can come down to 4,600 feet. So I'm going to, even though we've not crossed it, a bit naughty, I'm going to dial it in now. And we can start really slowing down now. We don't need to be going this fast anymore. Vertical speed. So a normal 3-degree glide is going to be half of our speed. So about 1,000 feet per minute should work. A2A said something about an aircraft. Yeah, the Aerostar, which they bought an Aerostar, which I'm very jealous of. That would be awesome. I'd love to fly an Aerostar in 2020. How much fun would that be? So there you can actually see the airport now, Santa Ynez.
100 vector for the airport.
Heading 100,
So, Exif 4,600, and then after that it's going to be down to 3,900. Now, because last time I flew, I cut this prop pitch and I actually cut the mixture instead. I'm going to deal with the props now while I'm got time. There we go. That's one less thing to worry about. Okay, coming back to 180 knots.
SoCal approach.
Below 200-ish, we can take the first stage of flaps. Let's get those down.
Enter a left down, quick visual approach runway 27.
Enter a left down.
Couple of miles from Agziv now. Oh, it's looking good.
120, Alpha, connect tower now, 121.0.
Cherokee, yeah, I like the A28 Comanche. I really like the aircraft. There's just something cool about it. But the Cherokee, it is lovely too. I like the Arrow, the PA28 Arrow in Just Flight. So Arrow in XPlane is excellent as well. All right, so we're leveling off here, so I have to put some power in. Let's see, let's dial the next. It's going to be 3900 over Noxoc. I think OBS just crashed on me. What perfect timing just through this approach. Alright, we're crossing Noxoc. It's going to be down to 1840, so I'm going to put 1900 in. And the Unicom is 122.8. Right, that was the gear horn. Get the gear down now and get fully configured. I'm going to take everything but the last stage and back into descend mode. And we can see the airport, so let's cancel IFR. Gears down. Walker 355, cancel IFR please.
Walker 355, roger, AFK cancel service terminated, squawk VFR, change approved.
VFR, change approved, thanks for the help tonight, Walker 355, so yeah.
No problem, take care.
So there we go.
That was for the Walker. Before Romeo Mike, I'm getting to you now. I have no traffic observed between you and Yucca Valley. Radar service terminated, squawk VFR, frequency change approved.
Alright, so just a traffic call now is all we really need. I'm going to take it manual. Santinez traffic, Walker 355. We're at King Air on about a 2-mile final, a 3-mile final for runway 26, Santinez. Okay, let's see. Before landing, gear is down, 3 greens. We've got the lights on. Surface de-ice not required. Props are full forward. Flaps are set. Yaw damper is actually still on. I'm not going to worry about it before landing check is complete. Let's see if I can actually knock that yaw damper off real quick. There it is. Alright. It's a nice short runway for a King Air. So it's we're going to try and touch down at the right point and slam those brakes on and get the reverse going. Right, let's get all the flaps in at this point and get the speed back. VREF is usually about 100 knots. So that field before the airport is where I managed to crash into the grass last time after cutting the mixture. Looks like there's another aircraft there. I don't know if that's traffic global or what. Alright, looking good. One white, one red. Try and get down and get into that beta. And I don't really want to touch down hard, and I don't really want to float. There's some nice hot brakes. Santa Ynez, Walker 335's King Air's vacated runway 26, Santa Ynez. Okay. Off on the taxiway here. There we go. Maybe put a wheel on the grass. And let's just stop here and tidy up. Alright, parking brakes on. Landing lights can come off. Strobes off. We don't need any of the anti-ice store warning type stuff. Leave that on. Auto feather can come off. Engine anti-ice we should have put back on, but I was fighting with OBS, so I didn't see it. Let's bring the flaps in. Cancel master caution. We should be good to go. Right, now where do we park here? I'm guessing the FBO is over here somewhere. Hey, thanks Juan. It's pretty short and I'll certainly plonk it down. One thing I find with this King Air is if you're full flaps and you don't get that flare quite right, it slams itself down into the asphalt. Let's have some good sounds. How glorious does that sound? Yeah, here's somebody else flying. Again, is that Traffic Global? Is that PilotEdge? Is that, what is that? I'm not sure. Certainly not calling. And 122.8 is the Unicom. Let's watch whoever this is before we turn in. I know they really nailed the sounds in this. It's really, really pretty. Alright. Why land when you can not land? Yeah, listen to the beta. How cool is that? Alright, we'll park over there somewhere. That looks like a good place as any. Okay, props back into normal. So the after landing we should have done. Engine auto ignition should come off. Actually, we probably should have turned that off earlier. The lights, we can turn the taxi light off now. We never did use the prop sync. We turned all the fuel vent stuff off. Transponder we leave alone. Radar we don't use. Bleed air valves to environment off. And this goes back to low. Anti-ice we haven't got, should be extended, which is basically on. The flaps are up, trim tabs, let's reset those. Rudder and aileron we didn't touch, but we'll put this one back. And then shutdown is parking brake inverters. Is there anything really in here we need to think about? Nah, this is pretty straightforward. So we'll leave that on. Avionics, inverters. We'll switch these two off. And we'll lose our light, so we'll stick this on, and the condition levers come back. And these props don't feather and stop as quickly as they should. Very strange. Normally they would really come to a stop. Hey, here's somebody else. Maybe, maybe not. So we'll leave the master on because we want the beacon to stay on. In the meantime, we'll assume the ground crew got some chocks in, and somebody brave decided to open the door. If we can grab it. All right. Come on, props. Alright, there we go. Close enough to be safe, I think. Everything else off, and then we knock this one off, and all the lights in the cockpit can go off. So that's it. Thanks for coming along with you guys. I say really early for streaming. I appreciate the company, and I'll hopefully see you next time. Have a great night.